Hello. On Rochford District Conservatives' YouTube channel, quite a mouthful there, they are hosting a series of interviews with Conservative Rochford District councillors, where they're talking about why they became councillors, blah, blah, blah. Now, unfortunately, within these interviews, there are a series of false and misleading claims made about the Mill Hall as a means to justify its demolition and replacement. So, in this video, I'm going to address those claims and statements. In the first video, we get an interview with Councillor Bob Milne. Now, he repeats the false claim that the Mill Hall was underused. Now, we hear this statement time and time again by members of Rochford District Council, but it's simply untrue. Pre-COVID, the Mill Hall was being booked daily and continuously, with some events having to book up to 2 years in advance. So this claim that it was underused is completely false. Now, Bob goes on to claim that the Mill Hall was losing £80,000 a year. Now, how can a venue such as the Mill Hall, which is being booked daily and continuously in such high demand that people are having to book 2 years in advance, how can that be losing £80,000 a year? Well, there's 2 points here. Is, as I suspect, this £80,000 a year loss coming from the Mill Hall's financial performance during the pandemic, in which case then that's understandable. Of course it's been losing lots of money. Every indoor venue, every indoor social venue, every community centre, every indoor sports venue, swimming pools, every venue that's indoors where large amounts of people gather, have been losing huge amounts of money during this past year because they've been forcibly closed due to the pandemic. Of course, the Mill Hall is currently now open because it's being used as a vaccination centre. If this claimed £80,000 a year loss is for pre-COVID years, then why would Rochford District Council continue to let a management company manage the Mill Hall if, under their management, it was losing £80,000 a year? And then why would they go on to extend their contract to 2025, as they recently have done? Now, either way, this reflects very badly on Rochford District Council because either they are being dishonest by claiming the Mill Hall is financially unsustainable based on its financial performance during a forced closure due to the pandemic, or they are admitting that on their watch they have negligently allowed a management company and in fact renewed a contract with a management company under whose management the Mill Hall has been losing £80,000 a year. So which is it, Rochford District Council? Are you being dishonest or negligent? Bob then goes on to claim that the Mill Hall needs a fortune spent on it, which is something we've heard from other councillors before. Yet, by their own admittance, Rochford District Council don't know how much the Mill Hall needs spent on it, nor what refurbishments are even necessary, because they haven't bothered to do a site-specific examination of the Mill Hall. So they want us to accept the loss of our only large-scale venue when they haven't bothered to look into the logistics or the costs of the alternative. Bob then admits that the main focus of the redevelopment is the selling off of the land that the Mill Hall is on to private developers for flats and houses, despite the fact that this is a conservation area. There's no mention of that whatsoever. Bob then goes on to say that this is not a done deal. Now, we hear this time and time again, don't we? This is not a done deal. Well, if it's not a done deal, then why are we not being given the choice of the alternative, to keep the Mill Hall and have it refurbished? The second video is an interview with Councillor David Sperring, whose only comment regarding the Mill Hall's replacement with a much smaller hall is that it will be, and I quote, great. Well, it may be great for Rochford District Council, who are having nice new plush offices built for themselves, and it may be great for their property developer chums who will be making money building houses and flats in a conservation and historically important area, but I assure you, losing Rayleigh's only venue and replacing it with a much smaller, unsuitable hall and building yet more flats, creating yet more strain on the town's infrastructure, will not be great for Rayleigh or its residents. Councillor Danielle Belton is the latest interviewee in these videos, and in the section where she talks about the Mill Hall, she justifies its replacement with a much smaller hall by repeating the claim that 95% of the Mill Hall's bookings were for groups of 170 people or less. Now, even if we accept this claim, so what? The Mill Hall was booked on a cost per room, not a cost for capacity, so no money is being lost here. And B, 170 or less members of a group using the Mill Hall may need that larger hall, that larger space for apparatus, for exercise, for dance. So just because we have a smaller group using the larger hall does not mean that the large hall is being underused. So this is a complete misleading red herring. Belton then goes on to say that Rochford District Council have held stakeholder meetings with groups who use the Mill Hall on a regular basis to find out what would work for them with this new proposed hall. Well, the Mill Hall already works for them. It works for the whole community and has done for the past 50 years. Yes, this year is the 50th anniversary of the Mill Hall, yet instead of celebrating it, Rochford District Council want to destroy it. Now, Belton then goes on to repeat this ridiculous idea that large-scale events could be held in this much smaller hall as smaller events over multiple days. Now, this just demonstrates a complete lack of understanding of how large-scale events work. If you want to host such a large event, you look for a venue that has the capacity to hold that event. You don't look for a smaller, unsuitable hall and host half an event on one day and then the other half on the following day. Yet that is exactly what Rochford District Council are proposing as a solution to the fact they want to get rid of our large-scale venue and replace it with a much smaller, unsuitable hall. That, and they propose having an outside marquee to increase the capacity, which would just be completely impractical. Belton concludes the part of her talk about the Mill Hall by claiming Rochford District Council's plans have received just as many positive responses as they have negative, as the community starts to understand and adapt. Now, firstly, I simply do not believe that Rochford District Council have received just as many positive responses as negative, especially if they are talking to Rayleigh residents. Because from what I've seen online and from talking to residents out in the street, the response has been overwhelmingly negative with a mixture of disgust and outrage. But it just goes to show how Rochford District Council are already starting to spin the situation, and it demonstrates that this whole public engagement is really nothing more than a box-ticking exercise. And secondly, those who oppose these destructive plans only do so because they don't understand them. We understand that Rochford District Council want to demolish our vital, well-used and in high demand community venue, to sell off the land to their private developer chums so rows of blocks of flats can be built in a conservation area and a smaller unsuitable hall built opposite, crammed up against our historic windmill. Believe me, we understand that. How about Rochford District Council understand that they are paid to represent their constituents and they should consult with us on these matters that affect us and not dictate to us what they have decided to do with our community places and spaces? How about Rochford District Council adapt their plans so Rayleigh and the wider area do not lose their only well-used and in high demand large-scale community venue? Thanks for watching, and please continue to sign and share the petition and to make people aware of these plans, because many people in the community still do not know what Rochford District Council have planned for our Mill Hall. And remember, come the local elections on May the 6th, that every single sitting Conservative member of Rochford District Council voted in favour of demolishing the Mill Hall and replacing it with rows of blocks of flats and a smaller hall without even consulting the community. Bear that in mind when you cast your vote. Thank you.